Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down a track that I made inspired by HotLap. The track was called Blue Moon featuring Sophie Saint, and it has really nice epic chord progressions and some really cool pluck sounds and sound design that I wanted to show you. So without further ado, let's go into the track and then I'll break it down for you. So let's play the track. And so on and so forth. So let's start with the kick and the bass. So the kick, just a simple kick. And when you have a simple kick like this with a short sustain and a short tail, you can get away with longer basses, so like a long sub bass. So in this instance, I've used just basically a simple saw wave, which has a low cutoff frequency, and then layered it with this more aggressive mid bass. And you could have essentially the mid bass sound designed in one instance of Serum, but I personally like to separate them out so I have more control over the mid bass layer. But it's actually quite simple. So you just have this kick and bass pattern. And that's providing a really solid, stable foundation for the track. Then we have a top loop. And I've been sound designing loads of these for our new pack, so stay tuned for that. But these are just high-end shakers and hi-hats to keep the groove going. So let's just play the drums quickly. If you want to make sounds like this one, usually just so this is actually a preset in Serum 2, hat's velocity sensitive. So it's just, you play this note, it's like really nice, noisy hat, which can add interest to your groove. This is just an overdriven clap. I noticed that a lot of these artists have quite intricate drums, and you can see my breakdowns of other Afro House tracks on this channel. They really pay attention to a lot of the nuances of the drum sound design. So when you're working in this Afro melodic genre, it really has a strong emphasis on attention to detail with the drums. Let's just get all the drums playing. You definitely want to add these kind of metallic sounds. Maybe drive it through some saturation. Bring it out to the side. So anyway, from there, we have this synth, which is a pluck sound. And it's very driving. It's a very prominent feature of this track. I've just made this preset. It's just a pluck envelope and the cutoff is moving around based on the velocity of the note. And so this is kind of informing the chord progression, which is what I'm going to go on to in just a second. But before that, let's just listen to this glitch lead here. So again, it's attention to detail. This is just probably a filtered wavetable. So you can see here, it's just a wavetable that's been filtered with a bit of bode. I know these guys, people in this genre, like to use glitchy effects. And let's make this sound even more crazy. So let's add another filter outside here. And it's all about creating dynamic movement inside the beat. So let's do something like this. And crank up the resonance make it sound crazy. Something like that. So it's kind of moving in and out of the beat, but it's attention to detail that really makes a difference. Run it through some saturation as well, just to... So you don't have to overthink these kind of sounds. You can make them sound really cool just with filters, and just play around with the filters and the saturation and play in these quirky little riffs at the end of every 4 or 8 bars. And that can have a big impact on how your music sounds. So then we have this first chord, these first chords that come in. We have this sound as well. That's just a sound effect. So let's focus on the chords. I'll call these chords. So it's best if we listen to these with the bass line so we can see how to create chords like this. So if you notice, the chords and the bass are following each other. So hopefully we can get them both showing up. So the bass is playing an F, which is also in the chord, and then it goes down to D sharp, which isn't in the chord, and then an F sharp, which is in the chord. So the bass line is basically providing the movement, and then you build the chord based on the scale, which I believe is D minor, on top of it. And I just use my ear. You can just use your ear and come up with some nice chord progressions based on the root note, which is the bass line. So you can like move it around. Just use your ear to find a nice sound. So that's how you create chords that go with your bass line. There's obviously some theory to it as well, like just knowing the scale and then playing around with different styles of chords, minor, major, and suspended chords. So if you need to brush up on your theory, you can do that, but it's best not to overthink it and just use your ear a lot of the time. And as long as you're in scale, you can come up with something that sounds good. So with this track, there's actually something that I wanted to show you, which is that they use one chord sound at the beginning of the first 4 bars, and then he switches it to another chord sound. So let's listen to the whole 8 bars. So that is quite interesting, and I've heard this in quite a few tracks in this genre, is they will play the second part of the chord progression with a completely different tone of instrument. So this one is like this wavetable here, which has been filtered out, and it's layered with like a piano, basically. And what they do is they make it sound as glitchy as possible, and that really keeps you engaged with the track, and it's quite epic because the track sounds like it's morphing around. So that's something to try. Try using different sounds for different parts of the chord progression. Listen to all of it again. Then from there, it's just mixing, leveling, getting everything correct in terms of the overall mix. But the main aspect I wanted to show you in making epic Afro melodic house is to experiment with the bass line, write some chords over the top of it, and then try switching out the chord sound on the second half of the progression. And don't be afraid to make it sound glitchy and experiment with filters and stuff to improve the overall sound. So hopefully you found this short lesson useful and interesting. And if you want me to cover any more specific songs, let me know and I can have a go. So hopefully you found this interesting. Please leave a like and subscribe and stay tuned for our next upcoming sample pack, which will be dropping very shortly. And I will see you in the next video.